Welcome to Crotone Entertainment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Bree.
And this is the third video we recorded tonight.
We've been real productive.
So anyway, he's the best at what he does. We're back to
and
Marvel.
What he does ain't nice, bub.
Back to Marvel Painted Up Jimmy tonight. Back to Marvel Crisis Paintocol. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the Jimmy.
That's not...
That's his name. His name is James Logan Howard.
Nobody calls him Jimmy.
I'm calling him Jimmy. I'm calling him Jimster. I'm calling him Slim Jim.
And when the claws just appear out of the ether and just go shink,
I'm going to call him Slim Jim. Anyway, Amarillo Yellow, Golden Yellow from Vallejo Paints. If you watched episode 1 of our Marvel Crisis Paintocol, you know that my goal is twofold here. One, I want to focus on Vallejo paints, kind of showcase some of these colors, kind of paint with them myself. I've always had a handful of Vallejo paints in my collection. This is a full run of Vallejo paints, so they do apply a little differently than some other colors. This yellow actually applies beautifully over a gray undercoat. It does. Cannot be said. The same cannot be said for Citadel yellows. But anyway, we're going to paint everywhere on Wolverine that needs to be yellow. Yellow, because that's what Wolverine looks like. We're doing comic book style paint jobs if you watched our Spider-Man video. So we're also not going to be doing highlights and shading in the same way that you'd be used to seeing. So, like I said, here we go with Wolverine as Bree slowly chokes to death. So once we have our yellow applied here, we're going to go ahead and tackle the fleshy bits of Wolverine.
Like the little tiny bit of flesh that shows.
Well, he's got his arms.
That's true. I guess,
It occurs to me that I didn't say the name of this flesh here. It's I think it's called Skin Tone Base. It's one of their model. It's not that one. Flesh? That's the highlight.
Okay.
I want to say it's this one's pale flesh. So it's Skin Tone Base. It's their model color line. So Vallejo has two lines. They have game color and they have model color. And I've heard some people say, hey, don't mix them because the colors kind of have different hues and different goals. The model colors tend to be more realistic, where there seems to be more pigmentation and whatnot in the game colors. Lay down, dog. They got a dog dancing in the background here. He just wants attention and he can't get it, so he's dancing. He's being a pain in my tuchus here. Now he's licking me. Stop licking me, dog.
He loves you, but Daddy, I love you.
So anyway, look at how pastel this is.
It is unnerving at first. When I saw some of your whip photos and stuff like that, I was ready to throw this project out the window as I was going on Wolverine and just say, you know what? I'm going to repaint Spider-Man. We're going to do all this traditional style. You're going to see a very drastic change at some point in this where it just jumps, leaps, and bounds beyond what you said. And I did it again. I got to start showing the paint. I don't know why I didn't show the paints here. This is just another flesh tone. I picked one that's slightly lighter than the Skin Tone Base. Flesh.
This is the Vallejo Game Color Pale Flesh. And you'll notice I'm not doing a real traditional highlight job. I'm just kind of saying, okay, where's a raised area? I don't really care if I cover the whole raised area. I don't care if I cover it realistically. I'm just popping some paint on it, and I'm only really doing it in the raised areas. I'm actually kind of ignoring the undersides, because again, when you read a lot of comics, you don't see shading like that, not in a traditional comic. Some of them will. Your Alex Ross type artwork and whatnot will do hyper-realistic shading. That's not what we're going for. We want this to be a mix between like a 90s X-Men comic book and the X-Men 1990s cartoon series, which
we've just recently started rewatching. And it is.
I love Wolverine swearing, "You scum-sucking piece of gutter trash." What? You said what? Anyway, this is the Vallejo Game Color Blue Magic. You can use any mid-tone blue you want. Wolverine has a predominantly mid to light tone pair of briefs.
Yeah.
It's the 90s.
It's the 90s.
And before. But the blue on Wolverine, you see it kind of got out of control on me here with the wetting down. I got some blue on the yellow, but if you just pull your paintbrush away, grab a clean paintbrush, dip it in some heavy water, or dip it heavily in some water, you can sop up most of the paint before it dries, so you can kind of fix these sort of mistakes without having to paint over them. Or if any staining does occur on it, you only have to do minor paint overs. But Wolverine has a lot of mid-tone to brighter color blue on him, so the Blue Magic is a great mid-tone blue. If you don't want to use that exact color, you don't have to. There's a reason most of the time I don't put my color selections in the descriptions, because I'm not trying to necessarily dictate to you what is the right color. If you have Marvel Crisis Protocol and you have this model, you have a card that shows you a picture of Wolverine. You can look at that blue and you can kind of decide for yourself what tone of blue you would like best. I went with the Blue Magic, and then I went over to the model color line for this Andrea Blue. And this Andrea Blue we're just kind of do on the high points of all the stuff we just did. Again, not going for a hyper-realistic highlight. The blue kind of washes over his hands there. I'm not picking out fingers. I do get a little more specific on his shoulder pads, but I did kind of pull off camera here real quick because I didn't mix the paint enough. The Vallejo paints do tend to have a lot more mixing medium in them.
Yeah.
So you do have to paint them a little longer than some other brands. That does, however, mean they do come out thinner, and you have to spend less time thinning your paints compared to some other brands.
Which is super nice.
Which is helpful. So you see, I'm just kind of globbing on some blue there. I'm not being very...
Are you globbing?
I am not slathering. Slathering would imply a full coverage.
Fine.
I'm just kind of doing some blobs of blue. Blobs of blue.
Blobs of blue.
Because I'm not looking for any sort of hyperrealism.
Right.
I think I skipped the yellow highlight step.
I think you did.
I think that video clip disappeared.
You disappeared. There is a step somewhere in here.
Yeah, I used what's called lemon yellow from Model Color. So here's these armor pieces. I get the idea they're actually supposed to be like metallic. So these, instead of actually just painting a lighter blue over it, I'm doing like streaks of the lighter blue. So it's kind of running up the side and then running across. So you see just kind of run up the side and then run it across, but it's not covering all of it. Some of the darker blue stays below. There is a method to my madness on what I'm doing here. It's going to actually look really cool when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, the shoulder pads are probably some of my favorite part of the finished model here.
All right. So now we're going to pull up black, and we're that was a weird cut.
That was weird. Oh, man. I wish the editors behind these were just...
Editors. I was having some arguments with my Vallejo Black. My Vallejo Black I've had for quite a long time. This one took a heck of a lot of shaking. I need to get like a nail polish shaker. A nail polish shaker I could strap these Vallejo bottles onto, and I wouldn't even have to think about it. They would just go. So it took a heck of a lot of mixing here. But I finally got it to a consistency that was workable. And this particular black is only going to cover the areas that are black on Wolverine. Oh man, try to keep up with me here. He's kind of got some area on his boots that have those black designs. The streak does go down the front of his boot, but there's not really a dividing line on the miniature that shows that, but it does happen. He's also got those kind of cat swipe stripe thingies.
That's his Charlie Brown shirt.
This is Charlie Brown shirt.
It's his Charlie Brown shirt.
He strikes out with the little red-haired girl and gets really angry. And then he's got black on his mask, which his mask is just two Batmen kissing each other.
Oh, now everybody else will be stuck in the same boat we are, where you just can't unsee it.
Google Wolverine's mask is just two Batmans kissing each other, and your life will be ruined.
It really will.
Google Wolverine's mask is two Batmans kissing each other, Rule 34.
No, don't. You know better. Don't do that.
That's why I do it. That really is why I do it.
But the really sad part, too, is even in the cartoon, like now when we're watching it with...
So now I have electric blue, and it's only going on these shoulder pads. And it's going in that same area that we did the lighter blue, except we're doing an even thinner line of this. Because I'm trying to go for like a metallic sheen, comic book style. So anyway, youngest.
Yes.
Eldest.
No, eldest. Since we're watching it, I actually was sitting there while we were watching him, go take on that mutant registration league. And all I kept seeing every time they cut to his thing is that his face mask is two Batman kissing. And it's not great. It kind of it pulls you out of the moment where Rogue whips somebody around so hard that she actually changes their whole race.
Yeah, what was that all about? So anyway, after I've done that, I pull out the Glacier Blue.
There's just like one of the palest blues that are like.
Oh, it's a gray with a little tint of blue.
Yeah.
And I'm doing just a smidgen of it inside the lighter lines I've already created. Just the absolute smallest whisper of it. So yeah, that did happen in the X-Men cartoon, by the way. There was a guard in a watchtower who definitely started off with an African-American complexion and dark hair. So we got Carmine Red coming up for the model color line. This is for the belt. Yep. He definitely started off as an African-American gentleman with dark color hair. Rogue picks him up, and as the camera angle changes, he's now an African-American man with orange hair. And then as the camera angle changes again and she drops him on the ground, he's now very much a white dude with orange hair.
He was straight up a ginger. At the end of this, he was the palest of gingers.
This all happened in the course of like 6 seconds of airtime. It's in episode Episode 1, Part 2, Night of the Sentinels.
Yeah.
Check it out. It really happened. It's pretty bad. Anyway,
so
the Carmine Red only goes on Wolverine's belt. And then we're going to pull out that Glacier Blue again. No, this is not Glacier Blue. This is the Vallejo Light Gray is what it's actually called. And I'm going to paint his claws this because there are no metallics in comics. Again, not unless you're doing like a hyper-realistic Alex Ross style where you make it look like that, but you have to kind of make your metallics appear without doing metallics. So in this case, I decided to try this light gray, and I was actually pretty happy with the results when I did. Oh, excuse me.
No.
Must be nap time. When I did the next step, which was coming up here, I actually was pretty happy with it. So I got this Vallejo model color black gray.
No, it looks like you did go back line.
Did I go back and do it already?
No, you went back and you put the line all the way down his boot.
Yeah, I did that. So anyway, all the black areas, I'm now putting a little of this black gray. Again, kind of just on some of those prominent higher points. I think this is actually really cool because if you've seen some of my other videos, when I want this kind of this black highlight color, I've had to mix my own paint. This black gray is a wonderful color from Vallejo Game Color that if you're painting a lot of black cloth miniatures, you can use this for a cheap and easy highlight that kind of works itself out for you. And then we're also doing the storm drain here, or the water inlet in this black gray. But you notice I'm leaving the grates nothing.
Yeah, just so it kind of looks like they're...
Well, no, they're going to get filled in later, but they don't need to be filled in at this step because why would I color the same thing twice? And I don't see the point of that.
That's legit.
So, dead white.
Love this color.
This is our next target. This is the Vallejo White's one of my favorite whites on the market. So we're going to dab his little eyeballs. It's not going to be super pretty even with a small brush, but that's okay. Because I actually go back and I use some black to kind of make the white dot a little smaller so his eyes do become a lot more tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of looks like all the colors are blending into each other. So take this white and I'm doing a little crossways, a little diagonal of white across the gray. So it's like in the cartoon where he pulled out his claws and they just randomly had the sparkles that would run up. So just kind of running this white kind of in a diagonal across the claws. And it does bring them to life a bit. I'm thinking about going back and black lining between the claws at the hand point, but this works just fine. So we're going back with our next level of red. What was the name of this red? Again, it doesn't actually matter. You don't have to replicate my colors here, but if you wanted to, this was Vallejo Game Color Scarlet Blood. And then for the base, we're doing this natural gray by Vallejo as well. Just any sort of darker side of mid-tone gray is perfect for the sidewalks here. Any shade of red that's a shade lighter than what you did before is perfect for what you got going on. And now here's where everything changes. This is our Liquitex Acrylic Ink. This model looks washed out and terrible, right? Same thing we did on Spider-Man, where the muscles exist, and it takes a few tries to get it right. This is only the second mini I've ever worked with this product, so I'm kind of still learning some of the viscosity and how it affects my paintbrush. But basically, everywhere there's a muscle line, I am painting with this black ink. Anywhere that two things meet together, so kind of right where his blue underwear meets his yellow yellow tights.
His little yellow long johns.
I'm drawing a line to separate them there. So like right above his knee, there's you see there's a depression in the model. You see on the thighs, you see those rippling bulges.
More rippling bulges.
Kind of on his Wolverine's Canadian six-pack over here.
It's Molson Ice. It's Molson's
Canadian six-pack brought to you by Tim Hortons. So we're just kind of drawing in, and I'm just kind of drawing some accent lines on a lot of parts of the model because sometimes like shading in comics you see like that black line, but then there's like the little
hatches with it.
I got some hatches coming off, and we just kind of do that all over the miniature until we get something we're happy with. And I'm not going to show you all the details on that every time because it takes quite a while to do this, and you'd be watching this for quite some time. But you kind of get the idea from seeing kind of the early parts of it. And I also do black underneath of him. So like under the arm, see that line of black there? I do that for the shadowing effect. And we're going right back to this purple that we used on Spider-Man. Again, it's kind of a mix between blue and red, obviously, like any purple is, but it's going to be a great color to put on, honestly, all of our Crisis Protocol figs. It adds a pop of color without distracting from the model, and it makes it just a joy to see. These models are a joy to paint. This game is a lot of fun to play. It's a very, very casual game. I recommend checking it out if you haven't. And there we go. Our Berserker Barrage is ready to go and be the best at what he does.
Yes.
So that's Wolverine for you. We've got more Marvel Crisis Protocol coming your way. We're going to do this every single Wednesday on New Comic Book Day. Like and subscribe for more content. Hit that bell button for notifications. We will see you next time.
Bye.